We waste no time at all. The very first hand we pick up pocket queens under the gun +1. I raise to 15 in order to get the action started. A player in middle position calls, the cutoff calls as well. We're going 3 ways to the flop. It comes king 6-4 rainbow like I knew it would. I'm actually surprised there isn't an ace out there as well to give us third pair. I check, the opponents also check, maybe our queens are best. The turn is the 7 of diamonds. It's mostly a blank, but there are a number of draws out there. I bet 20, treading carefully in case someone was slow playing a big hand on the flop. Our opponent in middle position raises to 60. This is somewhat suspect that he checked the flop and is now raising. He may just have a draw that he's semi-bluffing with. The cutoff cold calls the raise, which is worrisome. It's hard for us to have both players beat with only second pair. There aren't many great rivers for us either. The Queen of Hearts is the only card I'd feel good about seeing. I fold. It's down to heads up with the other 2 players. The river is the 10 of diamonds, completing a lot of obvious draws. I feel even better about folding. The opponent in middle position bets 60 again. It appears that he's trying to get to showdown cheaply. The cutoff is a bit hesitant. He can't fold though. He calls in order to see what he's up against. The middle position player reveals king-queen offsuit. He outflopped us. It's no good though. The cutoff shows that he's got the winner with 9-8 offsuit. He drilled the straight on the river to scoop the pot. Right away, I get a sense of the type of game we're in, with the cutoff in particular making a few speculative decisions, including calling pre-flop with a hand that I would have thrown into the muck, and then cold calling a turn raise with a straight draw when there's a flush draw out there. He clearly doesn't like folding, so I'm marking him as someone not to bluff, although he may end up getting to the river with lots of weak missed draws, so I can make an argument for triple barreling large amounts against someone like him. Still, it may be better to punish him by going light for value often with larger bet sizes, which is usually my strategy in smaller stakes games anyway. Next, we're dealt king 8 suited in hijack. I raise to 15. The cutoff, small blind, and big blind all call. We're going 4 ways to the flop. It comes king 4-3 rainbow. We've got top pair and a backdoor flush draw. The small blind is the opponent from the last hand who won with 9-8 offsuit. He goes ahead and leads for 50. This is very unorthodox. Typically, people who are playing out of position will check to the pre-flop aggressor, but not in Jacksonville. I see players take this lead line in smaller games often, with draws or weak 1-pair hands. I'm not very intimidated by it. The big blind folds. Although this is a large wager that we're facing, we're not going anywhere. I call. The cutoff isn't confident in his ability to win. He folds. It's down to heads up, and we're in position. The turn is the queen of spades. There aren't any additional hands that I'm concerned that the small blind might have that take the lead from us. He doesn't stop firing though. He pretty quickly slides in a bet of 100. Usually when players have strong enough hands to bet for value, they take more time to assess the situation and ensure that they bet an optimal amount. When I see quick bets, particularly for round amounts like 100 or 1,000, it's regularly done as a bluff. That's not always the case, but it's something that I've noticed to be true at a high frequency, and we're too strong to fold anyway. I call one more time with a hand that doesn't beat much that the opponent would play this way if he has a hand that he's betting for value. We essentially only have a bluff catcher. The river is another 4. I don't like seeing this card because perhaps the small blind was getting out of line with the 4 on the flop and the turn that just improved to beat us. He slows down and checks. If the opponent has a missed draw, we won't be able to get any additional money out of him. If he has something other than a missed draw, he's going to have us beat or we're chopping. I check back. The opponent shakes his head sheepishly, not wanting to show his cards. He lets us know that he missed. We save him some embarrassment and show him our top pair. It's the best hand. Generally, I don't like it when other players don't show their cards and expect us to show ours, but in this case, we're playing against a recreational opponent, so I don't mind not making him show first. It's pretty easy to narrow down what he had to a few combos and missed straight draws anyway. We win a nice pot for these stakes. After about 2 hours of running cold and adding on for 300, we're dealt ace-king offsuit on the button. Under the gun limps in for 5. It's the same nemesis from the previous 2 hands in the 4 seat. He's running well, hitting multiple sets and flushes to take down large pots. It can be tough playing against someone like him when he makes strong hands. He's getting the best of a lot of other people at the table. The cutoff raises to 30. We've got a premium in the best position. I 3-bet to 90. Ace-king is a nice hand, but it doesn't do all that well multi-way. We want to isolate the cutoff, and maybe just get it in pre-flop since the cutoff didn't start with a large stack. Under the gun folds. The action's back on the cutoff. He doesn't seem to be contemplating a 4-bet. He calls for 60 more. When he only calls, I can rule out hands like aces, kings, ace-king, and probably queens, we're often going to be up against strong but second tier type of hands like ace queen, ace jack, and ace 10 suited, maybe something like king queen suited, jacks, 10s, or 9s. We're heads up, the flop comes 5-4-3 rainbow. We've got a wheel draw with 2 overs. It's not quite the flop that we were hoping for though. The cutoff checks, there's still a possibility that our ace king is best, but if not, we should have plenty of outs, and I want to keep control of the pot. I down bet to 60. If we checked, it would have essentially turned our hand face up, then the opponent might bet larger than 60 on the turn, either as a bluff or for value, and we'd have no idea where we're at. Our bet in this instance can still get called by worse ace highs, and it kind of freezes the opponent if he has something like 10s or 9s, because if he raises, the times that we have overpairs, he's going to be lighting money on fire. I imagine that he'll call with all the overpairs that he opted not to 4-bet with pre-flop. Then if we don't improve on the turn, we can either check back to see a river for free, or we can possibly bet large if we sense that the cutoff is uncomfortable and may not have a hand that he wants to play an all-in pot with. Our $60 bet keeps a lot of options for us open down the road. The cutoff calls, which doesn't narrow his range down too much. He probably has a worse ace or medium pocket pair up to jacks. The turn is the ace of diamonds, giving us top pair, but now 4 to the straight are on board. The cutoff checks. The fact that 4 to the straight are on board is actually pretty irrelevant in a 3-bet pot like this one. There's almost no chance that the opponent is holding a deuce. I also think that it's unlikely that we're up against 2 pair or a set. I've seen this player limp in pre-flop a number of times, which I think he would have done with a small pair or small ace pre-flop. Instead, he raised to 30, then called our 3-bet to 90, so we can rule out the opponent having nearly every combination that beats us. Our ace-king is the effective nuts at the moment. The question is, how do we extract the most money and potentially stack the opponent? I go kind of small again with a bet of 125 into a pot of over 300. If the cutoff has ace-queen or ace-jack suited, he definitely won't want to let go when he's getting about 3.5 to 1 on a call. If he calls, he's only going to have 260 left in his stack. I don't see how he could ever fold on the river, no matter what card it is, for that amount. He may even be inclined to rip it in now. The opponent calls, he's already all in on the river, he just doesn't know it yet. The dealer puts out the 10 of diamonds. I wanted it to be a 9 or lower, but as long as we're not up against ace-10 suited or pocket 10s, we're going to have the winner. The cutoff checks. We're going to fearlessly be going for that extra 260 in value. If the opponent rivered us, we don't lose too much more. Let's see if the cutoff is willing to risk everything in front of him.
All in.
We don't get snap called. It's a great sign that we're best. It's tough to imagine the opponent not calling right away with 2 pair or better. We've got the best 1-pair hand. We may even call light with a hand like pocket jacks, thinking there's no way that we jam for value with only 1 pair when there's 4 to the straight out there, but that'd be incorrect. He's in agony over the decision because he's getting a phenomenal price, and no one wants to wait until the vlog comes out to see what we played the hand this way with, when they can see immediately for the low price of 52 big blinds. The cutoff tanks for a very long time, debating whether or not to look us up. Halley's Comet passes twice while we're all waiting at the table. Finally, we hear from the opponent. He calls. We reveal top. It's the winner. We don't see what the cutoff called us with. He returns his cards face down, but we stack him, getting every possible dollar out of the situation that we can. We win a large pot by correctly assessing the range of hands our opponent will have, and by not being afraid to rip it on the river. We're now up several hundred, with potential to make plenty more. Our stack climbs to over 1,600. In this one, we're dealt 9 of clubs in the under the gun straddle. Multiple players are straddling now, which I prefer to generate larger pots. Under the gun +1 is comedian and television personality Michael Ian Black. He's become a friend of mine over the years. We both enjoy poker, comedy, and looking into UFOs. If you're wondering how you might know Michael, he's got one of those faces that you recognize from lots of stuff. And more specifically, he's in things. He's been hilarious in things. Anyway, he open limps for 10, which is surely something that he's heard me explicitly say not to do in previous vlogs. The player in middle position raises to 35. This is our wild opponent, who looks like he's related to the most interesting man in the world from the Dos Equis commercials. The button calls, the big blind calls. Our hand has a lot of playability. I call for 25 more. Michael calls as well. Over half the table seeing the flop. It comes 9-7-5 with 2 hearts. We've got top pair with the gutter ball. The big blind checks. I check. Under the gun +1 is going to check as well. The middle position player is not a beat skipper. He goes right to his stack to assemble chips. He grabs some green, and to keep it Christmassy, he grabs a red chip betting 80. The button folds. The big blind folds. I'm not sure if we've got the best hand, but if we don't, we have ways to improve. I call, Michael folds, we're heads up out of position, the turn is a 3 of the clubs, it's a total brick, very little has changed. I check, like clockwork, the opponent is going to keep the pressure on, he goes to his stack once more, this time he grabs chips and bets 150. I've watched the same dude bet nearly every time it's checked to him, except I've noticed on rivers, he tends to give up his bluffs pretty frequently. Maybe he just has some type of heart draw or something. I call suspecting that we've got the best hand. The river is the ace of spades. It's not very good for us because the opponent could definitely have an ace. Remember, we saw him open limp in the hand that we went over before this one, so we can assume that when he raises, he's going to have top tier hands, likely ones containing an ace. I check. The opponent is staying thirsty. He's going with the larger denomination chips as he bets 300. This bet line doesn't make a ton of sense when an overcard comes out unless he has ace-9 or better. Most players would check back an ace on this board if they had the ace-high flush draw that just improved a top pair. I'm tempted to call the player down, but I mentioned earlier that I've seen him give up bluffs on the river, not just in that hand when we had the pair of kings, but multiple other times, so I played on the safe side with a fold. Part of me considered turning our hand into a bluff because we have removal to some strong combos, but this isn't the type of guy that we want to be bluffing. If he has an ace, he isn't going to want to let it go easily.